This is Agitated, a podcast where youth turn conversation into civic action. From studios to your communities to the policies that shape our future. We break down complex topics and open dialogues that inform, reflect, and influence decisions. Agitated is a podcast. Voices into action, ideas into change. My name is Epi Munyanangosi, your lovely host today, and I'm joined by Grace Vatamoriza and Richard Oluka. Thank you both for being part of this conversation. So Grace, when you turned 18, did an auntie, uncle, I don't know if you remember this vividly, but in African contexts, African households, there's always an auntie asking, so when are you getting married?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. Was I 18? Not really 18, but I remember that question coming up as I was going to uni. Around that age, slightly above 18. And one thing that came up was, so you're going to uni, but make sure as you return with a husband. Yeah, so...
Did you?
Of course not. I still haven't brought the husband that I was asked to bring, but yeah, that's actually a common thing. Usually, it keeps coming up. On very many occasions, there'll always be like those comments here and there in the corridors, and there'll always be an auntie or an uncle who is waiting to see.
Did that put pressure on you, or you just laughed it off as you
I
just
just
did?
brushed it off.
Really?
Because of the nature of the background and parents that I had around me. I mean, marriage is a thing, and my family does believe in marriage. But I think one thing that kept running in my mind was the kind of like discussions that came around marriage. You need to be ready. You need to be financially equipped. You need to, be at a certain stage in life. And I think that kept me going, and it has indeed still kept me going until now.
Richard, are you agreeing? When she talked about the financial aspect, I saw.
Well, I actually agree 100%.
Did that happen to you? Do you agree that?
18 years, getting married at 18 years, I think I would agree with what Grace is saying. There's a lot that you still have to do. And when you just reflect on our growth journey, right from school, even at 18, I mean, the law says that at 18 you can vote, making you an adult. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're adult enough to take up certain responsibilities. Again, in the context of men, I don't know how I would walk to someone's home and say, please, could you give me your daughter? I would like to get married to her. And
vice versa.
And I'm struggling just to buy airtime or data for myself. But also, in the ideal, if you go through the ideal journey, leaving aside, of course, life is full of unpredictable circumstances. So you have different lives. We are subjected to different environments. So when you go to villages, of course, that context is different. When you come to town, again, and there's the issue of resources. So we expect that the youngest, someone should finish university, should be 21 years at least. And then after 21 years, say, get out in the world and try and experience it. Pick up a few things, drop, rise up, move again, and things like that. And then maybe you can say, I am mentally, psychologically, and perhaps put together a few resources to now carry myself and confidently say, I think I can take care of another person.
Actually, Richard,
Yeah.
From what you've also seen amongst your family or younger relatives, do you feel people that age at 18, do you think they're actually ready for?
I think they are not ready. I actually also think even at 20, you're not yet ready.
So what's the determinant for readiness in this aspect?
readiness, you need to have the proper infrastructure for marriage.
Which is
And when I talk about infrastructure, you look at the mental infrastructure, both the software, but also the hardware. That's very important. So at 18, you haven't yet even accepted that you're making the transition from being a teenager, getting into the youth bracket. So you need to first come into terms with that and say, okay, certain behaviors have to change. Certain habits have to change. You understand? So I think for most people, unless, of course, we have a few cases where you have people who have grown up in certain families, kings, extremely wealthy, and parents are going to say, no, don't worry about this. We're going to fund or facilitate that union. But the thing is, you might be ready to use resources that are coming from somewhere else, but mentally or psychologically, you may not actually be ready. So I think we need to allow this person develop further. You've had the last 18 years transitioning from childhood to becoming a teenager, and so that third transition also needs to happen, and it has to happen organically. Get in there, see what it means, figure out life, and as you grow older, your feet are beginning to move away from your family, from your parents, from being cared for. So you need to start thinking about how do I prepare myself to start fending for myself, to start looking out for myself. That is exactly what you need to first get over, and then now you can make that decision. But the issue of resources is a very, very critical aspect.
so Grace.
Because it comes with opportunities. Yeah.
Grace, Richard said something about mental infrastructure. Now, I understand infrastructure in the social aspect of it all. I understand it in buildings.
Yes.
So, what do you think are the tools needed for this particular aspect?
Well, that's actually a very good reflection. So when Richard speaks about infrastructure, I look at it in two ways. The law speaks about the aspect of the consent, being able to consent to sex, the sexual act. And then marriage is also a whole other aspect. So I want us to differentiate two things here. While you might be ready for, the body might be ready for sex or anything like that, or consumption or things like that, adulthood does not necessarily have the same aspect. Of course, adulting comes with a few responsibilities here and there, but I think the main thing that comes with marriage, there's a lot of emotional weight. So you need to be mentally ready. You need to be in a place where you even have room to understand who Grace is before you're giving another person a chance to come into your life. You must be able to figure out, are you even able to take the small steps and small decisions that concern you as an individual?
But Grace, how long does it take to figure out who you are as a person?
Well, the Grace that I was at 18 is not the person that I am today. I'm a very different person. I look at things differently. I'm able to make more sound decisions financially about also my career. Like, there's so much that I can talk about.
Do you think self-discovery starts from there?
I actually think self-discovery starts at 20, in fact.
When does it end?
Well, you never stop discovering. We keep
So you weren't discovering
discovering
at 18?
Well, I think I was still in, like you said, I was sort of like transitioning from being a child. There's the transition of being a child to a teenager. I mean, mentally, I don't think I've even moved from numbers, figures, edgewise, I've moved from 20, but mentally, I'm slightly, yeah. So I think you continue to explore, you continue to discover, but at 18, honestly, no.
So you actually, you said something about adulthood and marriage. What's the difference? Can someone experience adulthood but not be ready for marriage, or vice versa? Can one come before the other, or they are two? They go hand in hand.
I actually think adulting in itself is, first of all, a scam.
Oh.
So, yes, you can be an adult,
Should
but
be
still not.
criminalized.
Well, not criminalized per se, but I think you can be an adult, but still not ready for marriage. Because, like we talked about, Richard already mentioned earlier, there's the emotional aspect, there's
Yeah.
the financial aspect, there's a psychological aspect. I mean, as an 18-year-old, I've walked a journey between 18 and where I am today. And the same way my judgment has changed and my way of handling things has actually changed. Probably at 18, you're very reactive. And between 18 and 21, you've had life scenarios that have taught you or pushed you to become a different person, make more sound decisions, be slow to anger, like there's a lot. I think everyone needs that gap to like discover and find out new things, but also have like a chance to like be out of someone's guidance. Yeah.
So, Richard, Grace says something that I find quite. She says at 18, she was very reactive. So when you look at the law, when you look at it at from a legal standpoint, do you think the law is being reactive or protective?
Well, there's the aspect of emotional intelligence, and experiences build emotional intelligence. Yeah. So yes, there's one thing about having the law, which is very important. We need the law, but also I think laws should be informed by personal experiences. So if you're going to have, say, the law, for example, encouraging people to get married when they're still young, they're still teenagers, or maybe having the
encouraging.
Encouraging.
It's a very strong word.
But by encouraging, I mean, if the law says you should get married at 18.
It doesn't say you should.
No, okay, it doesn't say that. I'm just giving an example. So if the law says you should get married at 18, or maybe the law says you should get married at 25, that means the law is enabling you to either get married at 18 or get married at 25. But marriage is about personal experiences. So there are so many people that have been in marriages, and I think those discussions must be held so that we try to strike a balance. Yes, I understand some people might feel that I'm ready, but look at it this way. When do you become a teenager? You become a teenager at, I think, 13.
13, yeah.
Exactly. So it's taken you 12 years to experience being a child. Then it takes you 5 years to experience being a teenager. And then you've experienced being a teenager, you're thinking, now I'm ready to take up responsibilities. Ideally, you need, I think, another 10 or 15 years to experience being an adult, to try and experience that. Now, that does not mean that you should not engage in things that could lead you into a marriage. You need to. But I think it's important for you to approach it with caution. You understand?
Yes.
And the good thing with growing up is that there are so many people that have lived before you. Yeah, and there are so many experiences that they share. But just like they say, a marriage is like a project. One key characteristic or quality of a project is that it is unique.
Marriage is a project now.
Yeah, it's unique. So for me, I think there is no template.
Yeah.
But there are some fundamentals. There are certain basics that we need to take care of first before. If you're going to get into an argument and insult someone, so that means your mental, emotional infrastructure
It's not yet.
is probably resting on a very weak foundation. So we need to go and fix that foundation. So I think of course it's not a one size fits all. But I believe, can we first tick the most important boxes? Once we have those boxes ticked, and then we can say yes, the rest we can figure it out.
Oh, thank you so much, Richard. I think we are going to circle back to what those important boxes are. But I was recently looking at. I think it was a UN, the Economic and Social Affairs Family Policy Database, the UN, And I noticed that globally, these the marriage patterns, they've shifted significantly over the decades. So you find that there's an increasing rate of cohabitation. That is before there's a normalcy of like informal marriages, right? And then I noticed that in countries where the legal systems have failed to adapt to these trends, the reports were showing that there are higher risks of unresolved family disputes. They don't know how to go around things because in a normal formal setting you can go to court. It depends on whatever matrimonial regime you were into, and then it can be solved. So what do you think about this? The rise of informal. I don't even want to call it marriages because I don't know what it is.
Yes.
We'll call them people that are cohabiting.
Yes, I would say it's cohabiting. We'd call it cohabiting. So one reality is that, and I think that's why this conversation is actually timely, is that, of course, things have evolved.
Yeah.
And a lot of things have changed. In the past, someone would get to like 10 or 12 or even 15 and they have no knowledge about sex. And they have no knowledge about, you've heard the stories of where a 12-year-old is asking their parent, oh my God, mommy, you're expecting. How did you get the baby? Or a parent is returning home.
It's an
with
oven.
and they're like, we baked the baby.
Actually, we need to talk about euphemisms around that. But
Exactly.
okay.
And then, or a parent is like, we bought the baby. And to be very fair, you could see the innocence and the naiveness within the space. Like you could really tell these people have no knowledge completely and also about what, sex is or what marriage properly actually looks like. Of course, things have changed. With the current generation, I kid you not, we have 8-year-olds who have a proper understanding of what married people do. And what does that mean? There is action need for us and the government and the parents and the society to actually adopt. Because there's so much exposure. Young people are exposed to all this content, of course, online, through discussions, even in schools. So what does that mean? There is need to do a lot of sensitization so that even when this exposure happens, they are getting exposed in the right direction. They know how to adopt. If this happens, how do I keep myself safe? Talk about safety. Of course, there's measures, of course, with the right parenting, the right sensitization. But there's also need for us to resort to finding solutions, for example, to issues like teenage pregnancy, or teenage pregnancy or unwanted pregnancies, because some can be teenage pregnancies but are wanted. Some are not wanted. So we need to consider finding solutions to such problems rather than maybe considering marriage, because for a proper conservative African parent, they will feel like, I would rather, conservative. Because for a proper African conservative parent, they would feel like it's okay. I would rather marry off my daughter, whether she's married or not, if she has conceived. So why don't we think about making sure we can protect this child from actually conceiving rather than send her off to a marriage if she's not actually prepared? Yeah.
Very insightful. We'll take a quick break to our listeners. If you're like me and enjoying this conversation, I would like to ask you, in Rwanda, you can vote, you can work, and you can also consent for sex. You can also have access to reproductive healthcare services. But did you know that you cannot marry without permission? How does that make you think about adulthood and responsibility? Now back to Richard. I told you we'll circle back to your important boxes. What did you mean by that?
Well, the important boxes are somewhere placed within that infrastructure that I talked about. Yeah, but you need to learn how to be responsible. Most importantly, I think fundamentally you need to learn.
Responsible.
You need
Keyword.
to learn how to be responsible.
Who's a responsible person?
A responsible person is one that makes decisions that are progressive. Okay, more progressive decisions, more developmental decisions. Someone who has learned how to, deal with people. And then there's this whole aspect of trying to be selfless. For you to be able to thrive in a marriage or even in a relationship, there's that important aspect of selflessness. You approach things with an open mind. So you don't go in there with a predetermined mindset that when I get out of this, whatever it is, whether it's a discussion, whether it's an argument, I must emerge winner. So and then also appreciating the fact that naturally we are wired differently. I talked about ensuring that partnership is improving, it's getting better, it's progressing, as opposed to making it a perfect partnership, because there's nothing perfect. So the first thing is try to learn how to be responsible. Whether we want it or not, the reality is we need resources to run anything. You understand? There's this whole talk that goes around, young men saying, okay, women like money and so on. But the question I ask myself is, who hates money? Who hates money exactly? Because even men want money. You understand? It's just that we are more on the giving than the receiving side, and so it becomes a bit tricky. But again, the people that actually say that women like money, if they got the money, they would actually give it to the women. It's easy to make that statement, especially when you're struggling too. So the first thing is responsibility, and you need to assess yourself. The second thing is learn how to appreciate yourself. Love yourself. You're not going to give what you don't have. So that is the other aspect of the box. Appreciate yourself. Take some time to value yourself. If you get in a relationship and you're not appreciating yourself, so what are you going to give? You need to try and get there when you've appreciated yourself, so that now you say, you know what, let me now channel.
Self-love. Huh?
Yes, let me channel this now to this person, and things like that. Then I want to get into a marriage. I would ask myself, okay, maybe I've become more responsible. I have a few resources. And the other thing is, what exactly am I looking out for? Okay, I am not going to come and say, I want a perfect woman. No. I want someone, or a perfect man. I want someone who is going to make me better. We are going to make each other better. So for example, I help Grace become a better version of herself.
All right.
And
Richard.
and vice versa. Yes, please.
We are crossing over to marital advisor.
Oh, okay. So, but those are precisely some of the boxes that we need to. So, as if I may summarize, it's really about the mental aspect,
mental infrastructure,
and the resources. Very important. And the resources, some people think that's the foundation. When you have a weak or shaky foundation, the building will what?
Collapse.
Okay. So I wanted to kind of rejuvenate our energy. I don't know if it was lost after imparting all this knowledge and wisdom, but I wanted you guys to finish. I'm going to give you a sentence, and I want you to finish it with just one word. I'm starting with you, Grace. Being 18 feels like?
A scam.
A scam. Richard, responsibility starts when?
When you can take care of yourself.
One word.
Oh. Self-reliance.
Self-reliance.
When you're self-reliant.
Okay. I think for both of you, protection should feel like?
Safety.
Safety. What about you, Richard?
Comfort.
Comfort.
Yes.
Okay. And now I think we can also approach this from, I'm glad our two guests, we have one from the F and one from the M. So I wanted us to reflect on this from kind of like a gender perspective, because I think that plays into, do you think this law affects young men and women differently when it comes to age and readiness?
Well, when are they supposed to get married? What does the law say?
21.
21.
But you can, after authorization from the civil registrar, you can, after you give valid reasons for why you need to get married.
So that means you can't get married before you're 21.
You can, after authorization
Yeah, after
from,
authorization.
the civil registrar.
Yes, I think it affects women and men differently because of this very important view, interesting view, not controversial view. For a man who is 21, I don't think he's ready to do anything. He's just transitioned. he's just transitioned into being a youth. It's a couple of years. So he needs to establish that infrastructure that I talk about, mentally, financially. Again, like I said, apart from very peculiar circumstances, and which I don't encourage. If I'm a very rich man and I have billions and billions of money, I don't think I would tell my son that if you have a girlfriend and you feel you want to settle, I can sponsor it. I think I would tell my son to first get to understand her more, but also try to empower him so that he becomes responsible. So I think that there are so many years that that especially men, just after turning 21, they still need more time to work on those things that I mentioned earlier on.
But Richard, sorry to cut you short.
Yes.
But you said something saying at 18, you're basically not ready. How do you think our grandfathers did it, our great?
Grace just talked about how things have evolved.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the evolution is
The
very
evolution
important.
is very important.
It's very important to reflect on. But also the differences in times and the context. When you're in the village, especially, if I may give an example where I come from. When you're born and you turn 15 years as a man, your parents might expect that you should go out there and take care of yourself. If you're in town and you're going to school, you're a child. As a matter of fact, you've just started your high school education. So it's because of those differences. I think it has to be context specific. I still feel, regardless of whether you're in the village or you're this side where you're able to access education, there's that biological aspect that you need to, first of all, transition. There are three phases that we spoke about. And life is about phases. So you're a child, that's phase one. You're a teenager, that's phase two. Then you're a youth, that's phase three. So you need to develop that infrastructure. You need to establish that infrastructure. So I think a 21-year-old man, if I have gone to school, I have just gotten out of the university. So the question I would ask, which is rhetoric, is where does someone expect me to get resources to get married when I'm 21? Okay? All factors remaining constant. Where would you expect me to get that money?
Is that a gender thing?
Well, as a man, and I think we still hold that view. When
Context and evolution.
I am supposed to take care of my wife. Okay? It's not the other way. When the 21-year-old woman is getting married, that's not a burden put on her that you're supposed to take care of resource-wise, financially. So being responsible, making sure that people are comfortable, people are accessing basic essential needs, that may not be a burden put on her. It's just that things have changed these days because of so many things. A woman gets married, and unfortunately, because of certain circumstances, it doesn't work out, and then she's stuck with a child or two, so she has to struggle. But I have a bit of tradition and a bit of this other side. So for me, I still believe that a man should be able to take care of his woman. So at 21, you don't expect me to take care of that woman. Maybe give me 5, 6, 7 more years. Let me prepare that for that, and then
What of the boys the men that were born into wealth? Because if you're approaching it from kind of like an economic perspective, does that matter?
What would make a boy that is born in a wealthy family ready, other than just the financial
Aspect of it.
the privilege of accessing finances or resources? What would make them ready? We should not imagine that or assume that because I'm born in a home where I have these resources, it means my mental infrastructure check, my psychological check, my being responsible check. No. It doesn't mean that way. So you might have the resources, but I mean, I don't want a man who gets into a home and then he quarrels with his wife, then he calls his mother, she abused me. I mean, that means he's not yet, he doesn't have the capacity
Chris, what do
to
you
deal
think?
with some of those things. So he needs time to be able to deal with some of those things.
I actually want to agree with Richard on that. I think there's more to all this beyond the financial aspect. I'll take you back a little bit. On the side of the girl child, I think actually, for both sides actually, I think the law is being more protective based on their personal experiences, because majority of these policymakers have actually experienced marriage and have a clear understanding of what it takes to get into a marriage. So for the girl child at 21, let's say, like this, 21 really, we're assuming you've gotten at least your first degree. Yeah? And what does that mean? At least you've had an opportunity to pursue your education to a certain level. There is more to it, but at least you've gotten your first. The chances of a girl child getting married today and she gets into a marriage and conceives before she's done with school, the emotional burden alone that comes with becoming a parent is actually heavy enough to let her drop her school or education career for a bit of time. At least there's a possibility of her putting everything on hold.
Okay, so you're approaching it also from an economic and social aspect.
There's the emotional aspect, there's the economic aspect, and there's the social aspect.
How does that differ in terms of gender? Do you think there's a biological aspect of it? Or?
I actually believe there's a biological aspect of it, but also there's an emotional aspect of it, especially for the girl child. Because think about it, the same weight a girl who is heavily pregnant is carrying is not the same weight the boy child who is 21 is carrying. But also let's come to think about it, especially now on the side of the boy child. As a 21-year-old, who are you marrying? What age is the girl? Come to think about it. Because if you're 21, unless, well, it's not about age sometimes, but think about it. A 21-year-old is most probably going to go for a child that is, 20?
A child.
I would say, well, childhood stops at 18, but practically, looking back at Grace at around 18 or 19, I felt like I was still a child, and I was not ready to carry the responsibility that comes with being a married person. So I would say it's more of protective. I would say the law is very protective, and really 21 should be fair enough. Yeah.
Okay. So if you could design, let's say you're given the chance to redesign this law or any law for entering marriage, what would you change and why?
Any law regarding marriage? Well, one thing I would change is
for entering marriage.
Entering marriage. Well,
okay, you can.
Well, that's a bit deep. I would talk about this for entering marriage. I would say you need. I would ask for the financial aspect. That's one. I would also ask
We need receipts, eh?
Yes, we need. Not entirely based on
financial statement.
No, like there should be at least a certain level of stability, because for sure you're not going to be able to. Well, I'm not saying there's not people who have run homes without, but with.
Are you asking it from both the man and the woman, or?
Well, for the girl child, there's so much to ask for as well. But for the boy child, you need to at least have a career, be able to take care of yourself, because if you cannot,
self-reliance, as
yes,
Richard
you need to
said.
be able to sustain yourself, because well, in the African context at least, a man should be a provider. So if you're not able to take care of yourself and you're still dependent on your parents, how are you going to take care of someone else?
And for the girl, what are you asking?
For the girl child,
Ain't you being too lenient?
I'm not being too lenient, but at least...
After all, we are all equal.
Well, there's I would say, a certain level of maturity and being sure that at least there's no force or coercion behind the marriage.
In our next conversation, we'll try to find out what you mean by maturity. What are you using to gauge it? Richard, what do you think? What would you change and why?
Quite similar to what
There's a lot of agreement here.
what Grace, but I alluded to some of these things earlier on. The financial aspect is very important. Again, I strongly agree that a man or a young man should get into a marriage when they at least have some relatively good financial capacity. And I think that should not even be discussed, because even if we go down to the basics, someone might ask, how much money should I have? I'm not going to tell you that I want you to have money that builds a 5-bedroom house or that buys a Range Rover or a Mercedes Benz. No, I want you to be able to meet the basic essential needs. Very important. That's what I want you to be able to do. When it comes to the girl, I think she, I don't know, but I think I think for the girl, she needs some time to try and strengthen certain aspects, or enhance certain aspects as well. Because if you're just freshly out of the university, why not get out there? And responsibility, we might argue that, okay, the man has to be responsible, but a woman has to be responsible as well. At least be responsible for yourself, for your life. That way, then even if you walk into a home as a wife, then you're going to be in a better place to be able to figure out certain things. So if you're going to walk into a marriage as a woman, and you say 50 things, and out of those 50 things, there's no single thing that speaks development, that speaks progress, then you're not yet ready for marriage. Because I may not expect you to financially support me. Maybe you may not have the capacity, but at least be progressive in how we relate. And we should not always assume that, no, you're the man, you know what to do, your work, you're supposed to provide leadership, vision. When it comes to development and all those other things, I think you have that figured out. No, a woman should be able to support that or contribute in that regard as well. Yeah. So for me, first of all, for men, I would even put it at 25.
25.
Okay. I'll put it at, for men actually, I would put it at 28. and then for women, I would put it
Richard, as we've seen, we cannot make your law make.
I would put it at 24.
We would be amending the law every year.
No, we leave it there.
Okay.
We leave it there.
So to close this session, actually, you give us a very interesting way to close. Just give us one single number that you think would be the appropriate one to legally get married at.
For the girl child or for the boy child?
For both. The law is equal, by the way.
Well, I would say 25.
25, Richard. One number, we just need a number, and you're on camera.
25.
25.
Yeah, 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, our dear listeners, as we've seen, today's conversation was not about telling people when they should marry. It was about understanding why the age requirements exist, why they're being considered, being reconsidered, and how it touches the real lives of people in our communities. So as we discuss all this, how do we ensure that we protect young people while still respecting their autonomy? That question, I don't think it belongs to only lawmakers. It belongs to families, to communities, and to all of us. This is Igitekerezo Podcast. voices into action and ideas into change.